Hello everyone and welcome to the One-Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we are going to do a top 15 list of my favorite solo sci-fi games. I did not realize until recently just how much I love sci-fi as a theme, so I can't wait to walk you through this list, and I'd love to hear in the comments below what some of your favorite sci-fi games are to play solo. So without further ado, let's jump into the list. Starting at number 15, we have Conquest of Planet Earth. Oh, this game! Who can't love this game? Do you want to be aliens taking out humans? Yeah, I do. And that's this game. You are trying to conquer the Earth, but you have these pesky humans, and they've got human tech that they're going to learn from your technology and try and stop you, and you have to get your UFOs down there, and you have to take them out and win. So in this game, it is a Flying Frog production, so it's tons of dice rolling. It's very random, but man, it's fun. And whenever you see Captain Fantastic, the hero in the game, who is the human hero, ooh, you have to deal with him, and he's brutal, and I love it. It's so great. A high recommend if you love zany fun that's a little bit out there and you're just going for the ride. That is Conquest of Planet Earth. Number 14 is 5 Parsecs from Home. This is a very different game than what I normally play. This is actually a book, and what you do in that book is you're going to roll on different charts to determine all your different stats for your characters, as well as the different encounters you're going to have, and it's really interesting and different. You can use any type of miniatures that you want. You can use any terrain that you want. It is something that is definitely outside of my normal comfort zone, yet I had so much fun playing it. I could create my characters the way that I wanted, with backstories that I wanted. I could, depending upon what I rolled, I would in my mind figure out how these different events or the different encounters that we're having were caused or created. Oh, it's so cool. And then the system is nice and easy and quick, and your characters, if they get hit once, they're down and potentially can get killed. So it always felt tense when you're playing. Yeah, if you're looking for a mini agnostic game, meaning you can use any minis, and you're looking for something that gives you that adventure feel where you can really use your own mind to create that story, yeah, 5 Parsecs from Home. I can't recommend it enough. It is so fun. Number 13 is Star Wars Imperial Assault. So normally this game is competitive, with one person playing the Empire and other players playing the Rebels. But they've got an app. They also have fan-made variants that you can use where you can play as the Rebels against an automated Empire, and it works really well. It's as low as it is on this list just because you have to play with an app. There's a limited amount of stories, and I do feel like the true enjoyment of the game would be doing one versus many. But overall, if you love Star Wars and you love the idea of tactical movement, tactical gameplay with dice rolling, I definitely recommend this one. Check it out. It is a little bit harder to find because right now they're not creating more of it, but on the secondary market, there's a lot out there. So maybe you can trade for it or something and at least play through the app versions, and then you can sell it along. Or if you can play it one versus many, you've got tons of campaigns there. It definitely feels like Star Wars, and I love that. So that is my number 13, Star Wars Imperial Assault. Number 12 is Terminator Genisys Rise of the Resistance. This game blew me out of the water. I was not prepared to even enjoy this one, and I enjoyed it a lot. The game at its heart is a dice placement game. You're going to roll your dice at the beginning of your turn and activate different things based upon the numbers that are on those dice. You also have a really unique way of dealing with the enemies. They're colored based upon the characters. So if I'm playing with a character that has a red base and there's 3 red enemies out, when that character finishes its activation, all the red enemies will activate. So you have these fun decisions of, well, if I activate now, these other enemies are going to activate. But if another character activates first, they can take those enemies out before I activate. Really cool. It's a fun puzzle, dice placement. I feel like it flew underneath the radar. Unfortunately, it is a little harder to find, especially the expansion, but even the base game can give you enough to enjoy the game. Oh, and I will say that the components are terrible quality, but who cares? The gameplay is solid. I really like that. Terminator Genisys Rise of Resistance. Moving to our number 11, this is Zombicide Invader, one of my favorite Zombicides. That's basically because of the theme. Most of the Zombicides are very similar. This one has a few changes that actually makes the game a lot easier, which overall I actually prefer Zombicide to be harder, but I love the theme enough, and I have a fully painted version of the game. It's a keeper for me. I can use the minis for other games. Also, that game I can play with kids or I can play with adults. There's tons of different missions to play, and if you have the dark side as well, you've got a whole nother set of a game that you can play and include different enemy types. Yeah, it's great. If you enjoy Zombicide, check out Zombicide Invader if you want a slightly easier version or you're looking for a sci-fi version. My number 10 is Star Wars Outer Rim. Yeah, can you tell I love Star Wars? However, I would highly recommend getting the Unfinished Business expansion, as it really expands the solo version of the game, and I personally feel like I wouldn't have kept the game if I didn't have the expansion as well for solo only. But this one is great because you're a mercenary, the world's your oyster, or I should say the Star Wars verse is your oyster. You can do bounties, you can try and upgrade your ships, you can try and complete jobs. There's all these different ways to gain fame. It's just a fame race. You're going against an AI. You can go against multiple AIs if you want. I would say the biggest downside of the game is the AI turns can be a little bit longer and more involved, and so sometimes I feel like I'm activating the AI almost as much as I'm activating myself. But overall, because of the theming and because I love games where you can find any way that you want to win, I love that type of game, that sandbox. This one for me is number 10 for sci-fi. That is Star Wars Outer Rim, and if you can get it with the Unfinished Business expansion. Number 9 for me is Core Space Firstborn. This game I was actually way more impressed with than what I was thinking I was going to be. First of all, just look at the board. Does this not look amazing? It just makes you want to play the game. Using the 3D walls, all the different little 3D components. Yeah, it took hours to get all the pieces together, and it takes an hour to set up. Those are the biggest negatives. But once you get through all of that, the different missions, all the different cool equipment that you can find, you're going into these different temples and different areas trying to collect as much loot as you can, or maybe one of your traders has been injured and you have to go and save them, or maybe you have to escort somebody. There's all these different missions that you can go on. You'll slowly level up your characters. I absolutely love the fact that at the beginning it's always this, oh, I'm gonna sneak around, and then later all of a sudden you go guns blazing and then you're attacking things left and right. But you know what? When you're doing that, you're escalating the hostility tracker, and so bigger enemies show up. I always love that. And so you have to decide, when am I going to change that? When am I going to go from stealth to attacking? And it just looks great on the table. I can't wait to show this one to you. Bill painted the minis and they look wonderful. Oh, there's also cave worms. So you're also dealing with the terrain itself, which is wonderful. So if you like the idea of a miniatures cooperative game, Core Space Firstborn is where it's at. That's my number 9. Moving to number 8, we have Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game. I still have this game. I've had this since it came out in, what was that, 2016 or something like that? But every time I play it, oh, I love it. I love the fact that the aliens come face down. You have to scan them to flip them face up. They can do certain things. It's my favorite Legendary game by far. I've sold all the other ones, but I've kept Legendary Encounters Aliens, and I'm not going to get rid of it. Because even though I know the type of aliens that are going to show up, there's now expansions that you can add in where you can put in random ones, so you don't know what those are. And you still don't know if the card that you scan is going to be that alien type. So cool. I love that. I don't know if I really want to do this. Should I do this? The only thing I wish in the game is that there was better deck building in it, because generally you're just going to add more cards to it. It's hard to call, and a lot of times at the end of the game you're just stuck with your basic cards, and there isn't anything you can do about that. But overall, the theme, the excitement in the game, it's one that I'm keeping, and I love the sci-fi feel. So Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game. Number 7, we're moving to a very tactical game. That is Galaxy Defenders. Oh, this game, as long as you're okay with dice rolling, and as long as you're okay with the fact that every time you attack, every damage that you roll, the enemy can roll a shield, potentially, and block it. Sometimes that can make for some very long games going back and forth, but man, overall, I love how the AI works. It's very simple and straightforward, yet there's lots of tactical movement in the game. You have tons of different upgrades that you can choose from. It's hard, and I love hard sci-fi games. To me, that makes the most sense. Sci-fi is the unknown, so you don't know what these Xenos are going to do. You don't know how hard they are going to be to defeat, and so I love that the game is a challenge. So Galaxy Defenders, if you're looking for tactical, you're looking for a challenge, and you're okay with a slightly longer gameplay and losing because of dice rolling, that is Galaxy Defenders, my number 7. Moving to number 6, this is a solo only game, Warp's Edge. Oh, this game is so fun. A bag builder where you're also getting a couple cards that you can use to mitigate your bag draws, and you're trying to last longer and longer each warp. You've got 3 warps to be able to take on a big boss, and all the bosses are unique. Oh, it's so cool. It's quick to play. You can lose and play again and again and again, and there's lots of variety. Each ship has its own specific layout of the different tokens that you can buy, and I love bag building. It's basically deck building, but in a bag. And so if you love deck building and you love bag building, this one is for you, and it's solo only. So if you're playing solo, it is fast. So yeah, Warp's Edge, great game. I love the tactical decisions, and I love that it's quick. That is my number 6. Number 5 is Astro Knights. This is Aeon's End in a sci-fi world, and I think everything they've done in this game has been an improvement for Aeon's End, at least for me. What was happening with Aeon's End, it was getting overbloated. Astro Knights isn't overbloated. They've also tweaked some of the rules. I love how you can equip different weapons, which is just like the spells in Aeon's End. I always have loved the idea of not shuffling your deck, so how you discard your cards matter for how they flip. This is still a boss battler, just like Aeon's End, but it's in a sci-fi world. And to me, I love sci-fi just a little bit more than that fantasy version of Aeon's End, especially because Aeon's End felt very generic. I don't know why. So to me, Astro Knights is great. It's a number 5 for me for solo, also co-op. I love it. Check out Astro Knights. Moving to number 4, this is Nemesis Lockdown. Who doesn't love having aliens attack them in the night? This is so much fun. I love the intensity of this game, and it's throughout the entire game. You're running to try and complete objectives. You've got these intruders that could potentially show up in your space just by you moving from one space to the next. I love that your actions are your cards in your hand, and they let you do different things. You can use them just to move, but they also all have special abilities on the cards themselves. All the characters have unique cards as well, so you can try different characters and try different combinations. You can play it solo, cooperative, competitive. And I love how the aliens, you don't know their health, so you don't know when you attack them, is it worth it? Or should you just run away? Should you just take that wound? But is that wound infected? Oh, it's so great. One of my favorite sci-fi games, Nemesis Lockdown. Can't recommend it enough. That's my number 4. Moving to number 3, this is Xia, Legends of a Drift system using the Forsaken Star expansion. That gives you a solo campaign of 10 different scenarios that you can play. I cannot recommend it enough. I loved it so much. I did the entire 10 scenario playthrough on this channel. You can check it out if you want to see how they are. It is so much fun. This is a race of fame against the 3 AI or NPC ships. You can earn fame by delivering cargo. You can earn fame by exploration. You can earn fame by destroying the NPC ships. It is however you want to do it, but if you play the solo campaign, when you do that, each time you play, you'll pick a specific mission, and that will tell you the fame you're trying to get to, as well as the way that you have to get to that fame. So for an example, one of them, I had to get to 10 fame, but 7 of them had to be through exploration tokens. So I had to do a ton of exploring. Another one, I needed to destroy the NPC ships 3 times before I gained my 15 fame. So all of a sudden I was buying weapons and I was doing something totally different. What the solo campaign does is forces you to try different ways to earn fame, and you're trying to race and do it before the NPCs do. And it is fun. And every time you're going to explore the verse, and it's going to be totally different. You might find the sun as the first tile that you see, or you might never see it. You might find these cool little combos that can give you tons of fame, or you might go and I'm going to try and get some of this ore, and I'm going to roll these dice to see, and all of a sudden you blow your ship up. It is so cool. Every time I play, it's different, and I love that solo campaign. Never getting rid of that one. That's Xia, Legends of a Drift system. Check it out if you love sci-fi and solo. Can't recommend it enough. Moving to my number 2, this is ISS Vanguard. Oh, this game is so great. It's Awakened Realms, one of their best and newest games. They did a great job of giving you planetary exploration along with ship upgrades. You're going back and forth between the 2 phases. I love both. I actually like the planetary exploration more, but that's because that's the type of player I am. I prefer to explore versus just leveling up, but you get both things in this game. During the planetary exploration, it is a dice placement game. You're going to choose a certain amount of dice, roll them, and use them for the different actions that you're taking. And then during the ship phase, whatever you find during the planetary exploration phase, you'll bring them back. You can level up your ship. You can get new crew members. You can find different abilities. You can find new items. You can find whole new galaxies to look at. It is so cool, but it is a huge campaign, and it's definitely a campaign game, not a one-off. So you got to make sure you're in it for the long haul on that one. If you are and you're looking for a sci-fi game, cannot recommend it enough. You have to be okay playing 2 characters if you're playing solo, but for me, that's not terrible, and it gives you more options. I really don't mind playing multiple characters, so as long as you don't, this is a recommend from me. Last but not least, my #1 sci-fi game, Unsettled. Above and beyond, it is my absolute favorite game because it gives me planetary exploration, but also a puzzle. So every time that I'm playing, I'm trying to puzzle out how to complete the objectives as quickly as possible and get out of there. And the writing is so incredibly engaging and good. It's always one-off, so you can play it with any group. Just put it down on the table, do some exploration, and each planet has 3 different tasks that you can do. So you do have some replayability there. You can even replay the same mission, and you'll have to do it potentially in a different way depending on how the planet is set up. I know a lot of people don't love really puzzly heavy games, so if you don't love puzzles, don't get this one. But if you love puzzles paired with exploration, and that's what I love, that is my utmost favorite thing, Unsettled is for you. And for me, it is my #1. Well, there you have it. That was 15 solo sci-fi games. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what some of your favorites are. And as always, thank you so much for watching the channel. I'll catch you at the next stop.